about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You burying me, burying me. Yeah, you burying me, burying me. You've got me hesitate. Push me out of myself. You've got me hesitate. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hesitate. You've got me hesitate. Can you hold my hand again? Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones. I'm losing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Taking Over. I am a little fries, and I'm joined by my. Wait, that's not Astrid Pizarro. No, that's my good friend Mike the Ref.
Wait. I'm not Astrid. I had the gear here for her. I thought she was here.
The shirt. Yeah.
I gotta talk to my agent about this. Jeez.
Garden Monkey's going to be very confused. Once you had a big beard when Andre was in there. Astrid says she looks different tonight.
Yeah, I know. Some days we gotta slum it, right? But you know that happens, right?
Indeed. But at least my friend
looks-wise.
Mike the Ref was here to be able to try to control the chaos.
I just know that you seem to sometimes stray off the straight and narrow, sort of like the way Booker T does in his commentary. I try to get you back on route here, and let's have a good, effective show here, because Roadblock is coming up next week, and we need to get right into that Roadblock.
We do need to get into that roadblock, but unfortunately, that's 7 days away. But tonight, we got a fun episode of NXT to talk about. We got Mike the Ref here to join us, and Mike the Ref's got all kinds of stuff to talk to you about later, about his AEW sidecasts, about the Revolution stuff this weekend. We're definitely going to go ahead and talk about that as we go through the show. But Mike, what did you think of watching NXT tonight?
I think overall it was a pretty decent show. Essentially, it's a go-home show to one of NXT TakeOver, NXT PL, like not a PLE level, but one of their main shows.
Day shows, I call them.
There's special named special shows there.
Yeah.
I think it's set up a few matches. I don't know if it really I think now we have 4 matches scheduled for next week now that are official that we'll get into here. But overall, I think it did set some good blocks for that show next week, but it definitely had its ups and it did have its downs to take Simon Miller, unfortunately, into Cowed here. So, yeah, one of those.
Yeah, overall it was good. There was a Twitter segment that we'll talk about in a little bit between Jaida and Gigi. But in the beginning of that, they're talking to Ava and they're asking her about the show tonight and getting ready for Roadblock. And she goes, yeah, every show is a big show from here on out because we're pushing to Stand and Deliver. And I like the idea that they're going to kind of push every week to be a good show, as they build the building blocks to Stand and Deliver.
Every promoter is supposed to say they're going to have a good show every week. So
yes, but not most promoters say they're going to do it and then don't.
Well, I guess the proof's going to be in the pudding here the next few weeks here. So
yeah. We start tonight where NXT started. Ilja Dragunov outside in the ring. Melo comes down. Melo's got his security crew of, I'm sure, at least one future NXT champion, not former, future NXT champion in there.
I think we compared him to, like, there was a Wish.com Roman Reigns, a Wish.com Josh Alexander, a Wish.com Big E.
Yeah, a couple of Wish.com Creeds were in there too.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of guys in there. But you know what? At least it was better than the guys that Paul Heyman could hire, the suspended New York Police Department guys, which included AJ Kirsch. For those that don't know who AJ Kirsch is, he played Buzz in the WWE 2K21 game, I think.
No, 20. There's no 21.
2K21, yeah. I always get that missed year. I always forget. I always think it was 2K22.
We all considered the game 21 was just as good as 20. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Couldn't have been any worse. But no, he played Buzz in that. He does a lot of the motion capture. It was good to see him out there. He's a former NXT Tough Enough, or WWE Tough Enough, not NXT Tough Enough. He was in TNA. He did a gut check. He's a good hand. He was the Yola County Tag Team Champion on a squash match against Braun Strowman. It was a nice reference to have him there. But this segment here that we had between Ilja and Carmelo, frankly, it's just a little quick back and forth saying, I'll see you in the main event. Nothing really to write home about. But a good thing, these guys both want this so bad that they have to do it in the beginning of the show. But the pieces aren't in place just yet. All right, it shows what Ilja wants to do this at the beginning of the show. Melo wants everything written up properly, and I'll see you later with everything. Yeah. So it's showing that Ilja really wants this, but Melo's trying to play the cool, calm, and collected guy, which might actually run into a bit of an issue here as we get into that last segment here, but we'll talk about that later. But that, more for later. The phenomenal AJ Kirsch. He's certainly something. He was indeed the Yolo County Tag Team Champion until Braun Strowman beat the ever-living piss out of him. Just a bit. We do get the backstage promo that I was talking about earlier between Gigi and Ava, saying that there's something. Gigi wants to talk about her future in the women's division. They go into Ava's locker room. Jaida's already there, wanting to do the same. Look, we have a match. I mean, it's not as easy as Teddy Long got to do it, but you know. You have a problem not getting enough work. You don't have enough problem getting enough work. Hey, you two can fight. Yeah. It's like GM mode in 2K24. You come to me bitching that you need a match. You come to me bitching you need a match. Fine, I'll put you in a match together. Call it a day. And then we finally, it took a little while, but we get into the wrestling here. Kiana James versus Kelani Jordan. Mike, what'd you think? Well, first off, I need to get this out right away because we were talking about this later on the show, but I want to talk about it right now. How the hell do you and Astrid put up with Booker T on commentary for 2 hours straight? It takes a lot of trial and practice. But again, Booker T was a sight for sore ears after listening to Byron Saxton for 2 weeks. That'll last about 2 weeks here, but that's okay. Oh, no, it's already gone. This is the last of his goodwill. And there you go. Astrid has a simple answer for this. But I will say they did have a great line in the beginning of the match. They were talking about another James being jealous of Jordan. Yep. And I popped pretty hard for that one. Yeah, Vic really got Booker with that one, too. It took Booker a couple seconds to recover to that one. The one takeaway I take out of this is that Kiana James you can tell the experience she has over someone like a Kelani Jordan, where Jordan it almost feels like the level of fluidity that Jordan has just isn't there. There's little stop gaps in her moves every time she tries to pull one off. That's what I would consider a little bit more little more difficult than what she normally does. And Kiana just has that she's got that JC Jade effect to me in a lot of ways here, where if you get into a match with JC, she's always the one that's ultra smooth, flowing from one spot to another absolutely perfectly. And one thing about Jordan that really got me there is one of her signature moves there. She was doing the handstand off the ropes and then turns around, stops, hits an STO. Yep. Like, all your momentum's going back, and then all of a sudden you're just stopping it for the hell of it. Why are you doing the handstand? Yeah, I like what Kalani's trying to do. I like the idea. She's still green. She's still learning. And I think that I saw a tweet from Victor Taylor Perry. We mentioned him a lot on this show because he's a big fan of NXT, and we're a big fan of his. And a hell of a good human being. He's a fantastic human being. If I can be half as good a human being as he is, I'm going to consider myself mission accomplished. He's got 30 days to get ready to take 20 plus kids to WrestleMania on Cody Rhodes' dime. So that's going to be something to see.
Yeah.
But he said NXT's almost perfected their version of presentation. It's telling of stories mixed with mostly great wrestling, mixed with different skill leveled talent. And they don't shy away from putting in talent that has a lower skill level with people who have a slightly higher skill level, even if both of them aren't quite ready for it. Kelani is at that lower level. She's getting the idea. She can work. She can do the basics. She tries to do a little bit of fancy stuff. And yes, like you said, there was a couple of those moments where I saw her. She does the back handspring and takes a second to right herself before doing the next move. Hopefully someday she'll get past that.
Or even try a different move that goes with that. That's what I was trying to say there. Because there's no momentum from one to the other.
Yeah. And it's something that Kofi figured out on the indies, and bringing these talents in without the indie experience and bringing them in straight to the PC and trying to teach them. They're only going to learn by doing and making mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. The only other takeaway I had out of this is this was one of the almost the exact same finish that we had with the JC Jane match last week, where you had basically the match finished thanks to an interference by Izzy Dane. Then just a haul back in the ring, one shot and then done. Kiana gets the win.
But it gets the heel over big. It gives Kelani a way out, saying she didn't necessarily lose. She got cheated. Yeah. And it gives us another impression to keep Kiana moving forward.
It doesn't make either wrestler look that much. It makes Kiana look good without making her look great stand up, but it also doesn't make Kelani look horrible in this case.
Yeah, so, it saves everybody a little bit, and it keeps getting Izzy Dame more and more involved, because eventually we need to build Izzy in some way, form, or fashion. And I think it's good to have this. Plus, it gives Kelani another match that she can have against Izzy, and she can go ahead and do this. Maybe it gets Kelani a tag team partner like a Fallon Henley or a Ren Sinclair to go ahead and take on Kiana and Izzy Dame. But I like the fact that Kiana, like you said, she's moving forward. She's getting better. She's starting to feel like a well-rounded wrestler at this point. She's not top level yet, but she's gotten to the point where she can have a good match with somebody who has less skill than her, as opposed to needing to work with people who have more skill than her.
For me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Kiana get possibly a shot at Lyra, just for maybe not necessarily have her win, but have her in that position where she can test herself and see if she can keep that same level with somebody like a Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of Kiana getting more opportunities, but she gets the win here. Speaking of Lyra Valkyria, after the match, we get a recap of Lash versus Lyra last week in the Open Challenge. We're talking about the Shotzi injury without showing it. We're like, they're like,
thank God.
We're moving past this. We're just going with this is what happened to end the show. And this all leads to showing us Roxanne backstage, pulling her best Christian Cage from WWE when he was with Tyson Tomko, throwing another hissy fit about the fact that she was in the shower as opposed to being in her gear and ready to go. There's a reason why Matt Cardona says he's always ready.
Well, it's actually interesting here. I really wonder, and it makes me not concerned. It makes me excited to see whether Roxanne's actually doing a slow heel turn here, or is she just getting frustrated to the point where she'll get a championship? I think they're slowly turning her heel in this case.
I think it's both. I think it's slightly turning her. My guess is they want heel Roxanne on the main roster, so they want to start turning her here. And I think that the match at Stand and Deliver is either going to be a ladder match, or it's going to be the one-on-one Lyra versus Roxanne, where Roxanne finally loses one-on-one, and we can put this to bed and we can send Roxanne to the main roster. because there's nothing, even as a heel, I don't know if there's really anything for her to do in NXT.
One thing I want to see what she can do as a heel, because typically when you're dealing with, I'm going to say old WWE, having a person as small as Roxanne be a heel is not exactly something that, it'd be like turning Rey Mysterio heel. It's almost like impossible for them to do.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what the new regime is able to do with it.
Yeah. And I'm all in favor of turning her heel. I hope that it works. I hope that it succeeds. But at the same time, we're sitting here, and I said it last week and I'll say it again. I don't think she has it in her to do what Bayley did. There was something special in Bayley to make her the heel turn work. I don't know if Roxanne has the skill set to make it work. I'm excited to find out. I want to see if she can. But if not, she's the kind of babyface that you can put out like Rey Mysterio, and you can put him out there for 10, 15 years and not have to turn him.
Fair enough.
I think that there's enough competition where if you keep her bouncing around and you keep tweaking her, and even if she goes to tweener, I think she'll fit really good as a tweener.
I think as a frustrated face, she definitely will fit that role almost of a heel anyway. So it worked just as well.
And at this point, like Cody had said, heel and face dynamic is kind of gone. As with the cool heel, it's changed the landscape of what a heel and a face is. I mean, Rhea Ripley is the prime example of, she's a heel with Judgment Day. When she's part of Judgment Day, she is clearly a heel. But when she is by herself on her own, no matter how much they want to try to book her as a heel, it's not going to work. As long as she's out there all by herself, they're going to cheer her.
Hell, even have that little runt Mysterio around with her, and she still gets cheered.
Yes, but at least when they have Mysterio around, they have him do anything, and the crowd starts to boo. So at least they have a little bit of leeway there.
Touche.
Roxanne gets irritated, bitching and whining at the entire women's locker room about not being able to get this opportunity, and Lash jumping ahead in line. And Jakara says, you know what? Lash was there. She was ready. She was dressed. She had just had her match. She went out there and she did the best she could, and she showed up and showed out. And you know what? That makes perfect sense. And then, of course, what else is Roxanne to do lately but punch somebody in the face? Because, you know, God forbid she not punch a talent in the face backstage.
Isn't that the way you always solve problems?
We always solve problems wrestling and fighting, but we tend to not have to punch people backstage to do it.
Well, no, if you're having a discussion with somebody they don't agree with you, don't you punch them in the face? Is that what you're supposed to do now?
I mean, that's what Phil does.
Oh,
Phil likes to do it that way.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But we go ahead and that match is made for later on tonight. And then we get the Good Brothers.
Oh, one thing we did get in between this, I do have to interrupt. We got a commercial saying The Rock's going to be on SmackDown in Glendale, so I have to remind myself not to watch SmackDown on Friday.
Yes, The Rock is going to be live on Glendale. It's a sold-out show.
Anyway, back to the Good Brothers here.
The Good Brothers versus Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. Mike, what is your opinion? Me and Astrid kind of got ours out there last week, and we heard from some of the people that weren't exactly thrilled. What are you thinking about having Anderson and Gallows sitting here in NXT now?
Coming into this, I had a simple 3-letter word, and no, it was not F-U-K, it was W-H-Y.
Mm-hmm.
It felt weird to have these guys down here. What are they doing? What are they going to do? Their reputation outside of WWE is simply that they will, unless you're a developed talent, they will not put you over. And I think tonight they actually sent a little bit of not much, just a little bit, but said a little bit of a statement that they're willing to work with some guys. Like Anderson did a lot of work in that ring with Enofe and Blade here tonight. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact Gallows took all of 2.5 bumps tonight, but that's a typical Gallows regardless. But this was a lot more competitive match than I expected tonight. I expected these two guys to come in and just simply roll over Enofe and Blade. And they didn't. Blade got some good offense in. Enofe got the hot tag and got some good offense in. But in the end, you knew that the Good Brothers were going to win regardless.
Yep. And they did. And that's the thing about NXT. They tend to do the right thing, even if it's predictable. They put these things together. They showcase Enofe and Blade, guys who are doing good work, who have they've got something. It's not connecting yet with me, but I can see that it's connecting every week. It's connecting more and more with the fans. They seem to be getting over. They have more of an identity every week, it seems like, about who they are and what they want to do. And I like that. And it's building younger guys, and you can build younger guys while not having them win. You can have guys like Gallows and Anderson who should trounce almost every tag team because they've been doing it together for 10 plus, 15 plus years. I mean, Japan, Impact.
They should be ripping up everybody on the main roster, but
I don't know what they've done to Triple H, where Triple H and Vince just don't want to book them in anything. Maybe it's the fact that AJ's constantly been disappeared and they don't want to show up if AJ's not there. I don't know what their deal is.
Who knows?
But you know what? When they show up, they do what they need to do now, which is nice to see. Because like you said, there's a history with these guys of if they don't want to do business, they don't do business.
Yeah, that's basically what ended up happening out in Impact when they were there.
Yeah.
Like Astrid could probably speak to that more than I could, but when they eventually had to lose the titles, they almost pulled the equivalent to an Austin Aries after they lost the title.
Yeah, But they came out here. They did good work here. It's a fun match. I enjoyed it. It was what it was. And then Andre Chase and Duke Hudson come down through the Chase U section. They tell them, you guys interrupted us last week. We're going to interrupt you guys this week. We're going to give you an Andre Chase size ass whooping. Out comes Nathan Frazier, just like, and I didn't notice it last week, and I had to see it on social media. He's pulling a Seth Rollins.
Yep.
Didn't notice it last week. I noticed it this week after having seen the video. But there's nope, and he's running out. It's totally a Seth Rollins, which I love.
I just don't like the fact that they're using the same exact excuse that they were using last week, that we deserve to be ahead of you. We don't have a reason why, but we do expect to be ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, I guess in this week they kind of had an explanation, is that Andre Chase and Duke have the tag title match coming up. So why they should be going ahead and dealing with the tag title match, Nathan and Axiom can go ahead and deal with Gallows and Anderson first.
Well, why would they get any privilege to go ahead of? I know there's a diversion of responsibility here, or a dispersion of responsibility of dealing with people. But what makes them have the ability to make that choice? Should be Chase U, the one to let them make that choice. But either way, then you have the LWO show up from the other side. Which,
yeah, that was weird.
Well, the best part about it is they didn't say anything. They just hit them.
Yep.
They didn't have to interrupt with voices. They just let their actions do the talking, which I think for those two is probably going to be the best thing to happen.
Yeah. And then all 6 guys beat down. One on each team goes ahead and beats down Karl Anderson, while the other guys go ahead and beat up Luke Gallows. It's fun. They skedaddle from the ring. And up in the Eagle's Nest, we see Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker laughing hysterically, watching all of the tag team puppets dancing for them as they enjoy being the tag team champions. All in all, it's a positive segment tonight.
Absolutely.
It's a great segment. It involves 5 tag teams. Like, that's impressive. You involve 5 different teams in one segment, and it with the minor quibble of why does Nathan feel like he gets the right to do this? Other than that, all of it makes sense.
It makes it feel like we almost might get a triple threat at Roadblock next week with the 3 leftover teams here. But
okay, yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Like Chase Hughes already got the tag title match locked up for next week already. So why not have the other 3 get involved with each other?
That'd be fun. I'd be down for the LWO versus Nathan and Axiom versus the Good Brothers. You can make it 4 corners and throw Enofe and Blade in there too, if you really want to.
Absolutely. And then the winner of that gets to go to Stand and Deliver, and that's the way you can get maybe Axiom and Frazier into that position.
I still think it's Good Brothers. I think Stand and Deliver is the Good Brothers versus
the War Dogs,
the Wolf Dogs.
Yeah,
Which I'd be fine with, because at this point, Baron and Braun are essentially baby faces.
And also the fact that it's pretty much a SmackDown match anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because Braun's already there. The Good Brothers are supposed to be there. And well, Corbin's technically a free agent.
Yeah. We'll hear more about that as we go, because we do have a segment between the Wolf Dogs and the Good Brothers later on.
Oh, that was a goodie.
Yeah. Obafemi comes into Ava's office wanting to, and I like this. He's not demanding anything. He walks in there and he's like, I don't care who's my next opponent. That's all he wants to know. And she's like, look, I'm going through it. We got a bunch of guys who want an opportunity. He's like, are they sure they want an opportunity? Because they're not going to want it after I give it to them. And I'm just like, I love this. He's not ducking competition, but at the same time, he's not like, I'm going to do an open challenge. I'm going to do crazy. He's like, no, I'll take on one guy at a time. And you
just tell me who the next guy is.
Yeah. Tell me ahead of time who the guy is so I can prepare and beat him down. Fantastic. And then they teased me something I thought I never knew I needed until I saw it.
But we need it.
We need it now. Ilja Dragunov comes walking in, pissed off, full of the piss and vinegar, and he just looks up. And he has to do a nice little look up to get to Obafemi's face. And they just stare at each other.
Man, that was a sight you just looked at. You're like, yep, this is going to happen.
Yeah. And the best part is, nobody says a word. Obafemi like smiles and winks and then just walks away. Because he knows better. He knows not to mess with Ilja right now.
But he knows he'll mess with the Blader.
He's not the biggest and baddest in this fight, because Ilja will screw him up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's a match I can't wait to see.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one if we get a chance to see it.
Soon, I'd like it sooner rather than later, but I think if Ilja's headed for the main roster, that will be his final match in NXT, I think.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I think that's the match that sends him to the main roster. Because it looks like he wants to put over Obafemi. So that's something I can be down with. Roxanne comes down to the ring, and I don't believe we get anything when we come back from the commercial break. Jakara just comes right out after the break.
Yeah, it was just a straight in and out.
Oba versus Ilja, fire. Yes, that's all I need to say. I didn't know I needed it. I didn't even think about it as like a possibility.
You're just looking at this as like, oh, yes.
Yeah, yes, please.
Yes, I'll take that. I'll take some more, please.
Yes. Oba, yes. Ilja, okay, sure. That'll work. It's going to work a whole lot better than Oba's next challenger that we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
Roxanne versus Jakara. I like this match. I thought this match was good. I'll be honest.
I really do like it. They did miss out on the opportunity to have a new moniker for her.
Mm-hmm.
The Peeve Prodigy. I heard that come out of Vic's mouth, and I'm like, yes, use that. Use that a lot.
Yeah.
But one thing they did get over on commentary as well is this is the debut singles match for Jackson. She's been in 4-ways. She's been in 8-woman tags. They've been mixed tags, but she's never worked one-on-one by herself. And she looked phenomenal here.
She did.
Like in particular, one move that I was really impressed with was the bow and arrow that they did, which, if you know from a wrestling perspective, both people have to work very well together for a bow and arrow move to work properly. And it looked great between those guys. Like Roxanne, for as young as she is, when they say she's a prodigy, they mean it. As much as I hate Booker T and the fact that he gets to push the way that he does about Roxanne, he's right. She is one of the best around, period.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what happens with this turn. My only gripe about this match whatsoever was actually nobody that was physically in this match. It was Lash on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
She got caught interfering she got caught interfering in a spot and got tossed. And she didn't really look upset when that happened. She just like, it just left.
Yeah.
I'm like, have a little fire behind yourself. Have a little disappointment. Have a little anger. You're supposed to be the bad guy who is not supposed to be treated like this. Yeah. And you're a big person. Like, you're literally so big, you're supposed to be able to squash any referee that comes around. I should know. But
she says, honestly, you could put Roxanne on top of Jakara's shoulders, and I still think Lash is taller.
Exactly. Like, that was my only qualm with the match. And you know when a small interference spot is the qualm of the match, you know you got a good match on you here.
Yeah.
But
we got a good friend, Noel, coming in here. Hate the heel character, but love Roxanne's new viciousness. I agree. I don't think the heel thing is going to work for her, but I'm willing to give it a try. I want her to try it because we have to see before we know. But the viciousness, the anger, the aggressiveness is a nice addition to what we already see from her. It's growth. It's what NXT's always been built on, is we take stars and we develop the talent that's already there. And while Roxanne could have been on the main roster a year ago, she could have been on the main roster as soon as she got here. She's that talented. The time in NXT is allowing her to develop new sides of herself so that once she's on the main roster, they can flip these switches as soon as they need to.
Yeah, like literally it's not a big deal that she's turning heel, because I don't know whether it's going to fully get there. But at the same time, the fact that she can show different sides to a character shows a lot more about what she can do outside of the ring, not just in the ring. And that's probably the most important part, what they're going to be looking for when she heads up to the main roster. Because if you're not able to change your personality from where you are, you're just going to be a token character.
And the epitome of this is, look at Tiffany Stratton. I know I talk all the time about Tiffany Stratton, but she's in the Elimination Chamber less than 2 months after being called up to the main roster. Why? Because of the fact that she understands exactly who her character is, how it needs to be portrayed, and how WWE can best utilize who she is in everything she does to better tell stories going forward.
And also the fact that she was able to, I don't want to say completely alter, but change her character a little bit.
Yeah.
From being the prissy little daddy's little girl to I'm a badass bitch who's in charge of everything.
Yeah. And that's like, you know, with what you were saying before. It all kind of ties into that, where she changed that character on the with no television spot telling us why. It just naturally developed.
Yeah.
And she was doing Cora Jade's character better than Cora Jade. And that was a problem for Cora Jade. Noel also says she needs to learn to play heel just in case she's not well received like Bayley was at first. I agree. Every person should learn how to be both a heel and a babyface in the event they need to be a heel.
It's one of the earliest things you learn at a good wrestling school, is that you need to be multidimensional in your character, because sometimes you got to take over a match. Sometimes you got to be a face. Sometimes you got to be a heel. And you definitely have to listen to the crowd to see what they want. Because if you let yourself dictate what they're supposed to know, if they don't want that, you're dead in the water.
I'm going to bring up something. I know nobody here is going to know this, but I'm going to bring it up because it's for me, it's something that I've been seeing. I've been getting back into the indie scene since January. I've been going to Chaotic Wrestling. And on my first show, the first match, there was a young lady named Shannon Levangie who was in that match. And her moniker is the Troublemaker, which works both as a babyface and a heel. She works in Chaotic Wrestling currently as a babyface. She's full babyface, primarily only babyface. However, I've now found out, as I start exploring more of my local independent scene, she works at a different promotion in town as a heel. And it's so weird to watch both sides of her, because the character really doesn't change. It just the volume of the character is what's being changed. With the heels, she turns up slight tendencies that would be received as a babyface to make it play as a heel. Yeah, Shannon. Shannon plays a heel in Beyond Wrestling, and if you haven't watched it, IWTV is fantastic. There are so many wrestling promotions on there. If you're interested in getting involved into indie wrestling, you can find a local promotion near you via IWTV and go ahead and start supporting your local independent wrestling. Because as Mike knows, that is the lifeblood of the wrestling business.
Oh, of course.
Independent scene.
Absolutely.
But yes, I agree. Roxanne did really great turning up the aggressiveness, playing up as the heel. But we can't discount the good work done, like you said earlier, about Jakara. First singles match on television, she killed it. First match back from injury because she busted up her hand right before the breakout, and she killed it. Like, she did such a good job. In comparison to her tag team partner, Lash, it's so night and day between the two of them.
Like, they both had the skills to do it. It's just learning the finer things in the personality, and you can tell that Jakara's picked it up more than Lash has, really.
Yeah, NXT has an abundance of potential right now. Right now, that NXT Women's Division is burdened with potential, and they've got the people there in place to go ahead and go from potential to stardom. We just have to give them time.
There's one thing that I notice about NXT, and this could be another conversation for another day here, but in many ways, I equate it to junior hockey when we're watching up here. Typically in a junior hockey team, you'll have 6-year cycles, but from going to great down to developing and then back up to great again. And it seems like NXT has really started to follow that model as well, based on the number of call-ups they get from the main roster. And right now, we're starting to get to that point where everybody's starting to get to that peak again before we start having to worry about people getting signed here to main roster spots.
Yeah. And the great thing is right now, unlike in the black and gold days, where there was a logjam of great talent that was never going to be properly utilized, you can look at the talent that's gone from NXT to the main roster lately. And while some of them aren't being utilized to the best of their abilities, look at Grayson Waller, look at Tiffany Stratton. Those two are already being utilized in fantastic ways. Even if Grayson's eating loss after loss after loss, he's on TV in big spots. They're putting him with big names. They are making sure he is primed and focused to be the star of the future because they know what they have.
And even to a smaller degree, Austin Theory, too.
Yep.
Because I'd like to see where that's going to go, but that's a different story amongst itself as well.
Yes. We get the girls, and I say the girls, we're getting Thea Hale, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix talking about the date that went wrong the week before, or 2 weeks before on Valentine's Day. Riley tells Thea that he just wants to be friends. And Jasmine's like, well, of course. And Thea's like, why? I'm confused. And she's like, well, you had a bad date, so of course he just wants to be friends. And of course, JC's trying to talk to her, and she's like, look, he wanted the old Thea. The old Thea's a loser. The old Thea's dead. We don't need any more of that. We need the new Thea. You need to go ahead and get new guys. And you can start to see Thea's starting to backtrack the JC Jane theology that she's been eating up with the spoon lately.
Did she start to discover what the plans were originally anyway?
Yep. And more importantly, she's seen the writing on the wall with last week and this week with how involved Jasmine is as a toxic teammate, I'll call her, because it reminisces that feeling of that toxic attraction feeling. Jasmine Nix fits so much better in that toxic attraction style mold with JC Jane than Thea Hale ever did. Jasmine looks the part, she sounds the part, she talks the part.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to make Thea such a better babyface coming out of this. That match at potentially Stand and Deliver, if they play this right, this could be a Stand and Deliver match. between JC Jane and Thea Hale.
I actually think it's going to be a tag match, to be honest with you.
With Fallon?
With Fallon here as the fourth person in this setup here.
I could see that. I'd be down for that. But eventually it's going to lead to that one-on-one singles match that I'm excited to see. Kiana then comes in and starts talking about the calendars.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah,
this
that
calendar? This calendar?
That calendar.
This calendar.
She's talking about how it sold out 3 times since it's been released, Mike.
Oh, you mean this calendar?
Yes, that calendar, which you can find on WWEshop.com. And if you're going on WWEshop.com to buy that calendar, make sure you go ahead and scan this QR code first to go ahead and put a little bit of that money back into the pocket of our own, the natural Astrid Pizarro, as she goes ahead and uses her WWE Shop affiliate. You paid the same great price that you were going to pay without using it, but you help support our wonderful natural Astrid Pizarro right now to recuperate some money as she's out in Los Angeles. The natural's becoming a big star out there in LA. She's signing movie deals, TV deals. I might need a full-time co-host after this trip.
Before we move on here, Ed, you got your calendar, right?
Not yet. I will. I will be good.
I thought you got your calendar.
No, not yet. Every time I go, it's sold out.
Yeah.
Which Kiana talks about how great that is, about what kind of business they're moving, and she wants to talk business with JC. So Kiana, JC, Jasmine, and Izzy all walk off to go talk about that, and he is just left sitting there thinking about being called a loser and how everybody at Chase U's losers, according to JC Jane. Like, I love this. This is what NXT does so well, is at this point in the show, we're about the hour. We're not even, I don't even think we're at the hour mark.
Pretty close to the hour here.
We've got the match between Kiana and Kelani that happened. We had the backstage segment with Jaida and Gigi from Twitter. We had the match between Roxanne and Jakara. And now we've had this segment. In 1 hour, we had 4 segments building 4 different feuds, which is impressive.
It's actually very impressive that they're able to do that. It's how they develop them. That's like you could set things up great all the time, but you need to follow through.
Yeah, and so far, most of these things are, and by the end of the show, all of these things were followed up on, with the exception of the segment between Thea and JC, but that's setting up something for future down the line anyway, so we don't have to.
They used 2 segments to try and set that up last week, so you can't oversaturate it.
But they've done a good job where they're at least mentioning the things that happened last week. They're building more into that storyline, so at least from week to week, things are being held up. We then get Dijak coming to the ring, but first, we've got that backstage promo that we wanted to talk about.
Ah, yes.
The Wolf Dogs and the Good Brothers. And Mike, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this for a bit here.
Well, basically, you got the Good Brothers here trying to play down Corbin's time on NXT and how they hate the fact that they've been sent down just as much as the fact as Corbin got sent down. And at least it's not going to take us that long to get the titles compared to what you had to do, Baron. And Baron's just like, I'm loving it here. And my favorite part of this whole thing was just Breaker in the background, just
Steiner, Breaker, it's all the same.
Literally barking out random phrases every 2 seconds just to fire things up. And all he wants to do is beat the living crap out of people. And it was just so hilarious. But at the same time, you could see this match running at Mania in some ways.
Yeah. This could be a mid-card Mania match if they put it on the real Mania card. It'll end up on Stand and Deliver, and it'll be great. The other thing I like about this is Braun has this great line after, they're making fun of Baron for being a comedian, and Braun's doing his part, piping in things, and they all kind of look at him weird. And he's like, look, he brings out the fun in me. Me and him, we have a bunch of fun while we're back here, while we're talking, while we're, anything we're doing that's not in the ring, we're having fun. But as soon as we get our stuff on and we go in that ring, we get serious and we can take people down. And you guys are no exception. We'll take you too. And I'm like, ooh. I didn't want this match when I first saw it, but I'm like, I could be in for this at Stand and Deliver. This will work.
All I want to see and all my money that I want to see it on is Breaker hitting that spear on Gallows. Because I don't know if
it happened.
he's because Gallows still won't bump for it.
Of course not.
He'll pretend that he has a metal plate in his stomach and Breaker will break his shoulder or something. Who knows?
At least Karl will sell for him.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, Karl Anderson, still one of the best spy busters in the business.
Absolutely. Forever will be. Although we saw a good one tonight, though. We did see another good one tonight.
It was a very good one tonight.
We get a backstage of the Candy crew getting ready as the No Quarter Catch crew is going to be taking on Noam Dar, the main event. And I was surprised that was the main event when they announced it earlier, but I'm like, no, that makes sense. It's a big match. You put it on in the main event.
It's the one match to go, sponsored by Capital One. It's not actually the main event.
No, but it gets the main event match spot.
Yeah,
and then you have the main event segment later on with Carmelo. But as Dijak had come out early, we get Luca Crusifino, me and Astrid's boy Luca. Oh, I love this guy. This guy is great.
Everybody hates lawyers.
We do.
So yeah, I would say the only two things. There's only two real points I had about the actual match itself. Mm-hmm. I had Dijak sliding all the way across the announce table was very impressive.
Yeah, it was.
Because he actually slid on top of the
He didn't try to, it just happened.
It looks so flawless and perfect. And the way that Vic got so scared about it happening, and you could hear the venom in Booker for the fact that he had some stuff spill on him. That he wasn't expecting that spot to happen because I don't think anybody did.
Nope.
That was hilarious. And the other one was just simply Dijak made Crusifino a punching bag.
He made him his bitch in this match.
Pretty much.
He did.
And he was also Lucifino, before I forget. That was also a part of this match as well.
Oh, Booker, Lucifino. Yeah. I thought Luca did really good here. Dijak's been that gatekeeper lately for some of this younger, newer talent on the men's side from the breakout. They all seem to have a match with Dijak before they start getting going where they're going to be going on their storylines. But I like how they intertwined this with Luca was trying to look out for Dijak and be like, look, you can't do this. This is illegal. You're going to get in trouble. You're doing it on television. You can't do this.
What do you mean? Advertising kidnapping and, potential, not only kidnapping, but putting somebody in a straitjacket, locking them up in the room. That's perfectly legal.
I mean, Luca disagrees, but then again, that's a lawyer for you.
Oh,
but no, I thought he looked good in this. I thought he held up his own in the bargain. He was able to, for most guys can't do this. He's not as tall as Dijak, but you could see him getting up there. He was close to it. He had the same strength type of thing as Dijak. They had a really good chemistry back and forth. They worked snug. It really looked like they worked real snug. Some of those shots looked like they really, really hurt. Dijak wasn't taking it easy, but then again, he wasn't getting mad if Luca was going at him the same way, which is nice. But of course, he puts him down. Joe Gacy comes crawling out with the straitjacket still on.
It's like half on, half off.
Oh, it's fantastic. And we'll see more of that as we go. But we go backstage and Tony D'Angelo.
We got to back this up because what ended up happening following that actually leads into this backstage segment. I don't know if a lot of people caught this.
I didn't.
What had happened? Crusifino hit Dijak in the back of the head with something. We didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And Dijak went diving over the top rope, and that ended up to that brawl between Gacy and Dijak head to the back. And then Crusifino, they shoot back to him, and he quietly hides the evidence that it was a crowbar.
Oh, okay.
Which is the weapon of choice of the D'Angelo family. And that made that promo make a whole lot more sense than why they were watching it at that point.
Yep. And we also remember that Luca came up to him and offered his assistance last week with Tony D'Angelo as they were getting ready for that tag title match. He's like, I know you're busy this week. I just want to let you know that should you need anything, you shouldn't have to defend your titles tonight. Here's my card. If you ever need me, let me know. And I like the idea. I love the idea of the mobster bringing in the lawyer. Like, it's just so much fun in that.
I think that's the only way you can really pull this off for Crusifino right now.
Yep.
In terms of this storyline. But the words of D'Angelo coming up in this promo, and I'm sure you're going to get to it right here, they make a whole lot more sense if you think of it that way, with Crusifino actually being hired to do this job here.
Yeah.
So
and when we do go back, Tony's like, hey, Stacks, I need you to go get Luca. Right now? Like right now? Go get him in the ring? No. Not right now. Just later. Just make sure you go get him. We need him. And I'm like, all right, that makes sense. I wasn't thinking what we're going to get. I was like, all right, we're going to have Luca. We're going to slow build this to the rebuild of Tony D'Angelo to make him feel like a world championship competitor in the future.
That future was,
the future. Hold on. Triple H is the best. Hold on. Let me pull something up here. Hold on. I've got a clip from Talking Takeover that I think will cover this.
NXT is the next generation, and the next generation has arrived.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
That sums it up because, again, today is the 10-year anniversary of NXT Arrival, the first live programming on the WWE Network. 10 years ago today.
Wow. I'm getting old.
I know. But if you want to go ahead and talk about old NXT takeovers, you want to see the golden age of NXT, make sure that you catch me and Astrid. We've done 2 episodes already. Our next episode will be airing in the near future. Once she's back and rested again, we're going to be going to NXT Fatal 4-Way. With the main event will be Tyson Kidd versus Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze versus Adrian Neville. It is going to be a fun main event for that show.
Just think of that right now. Just think of the level of talent in that match.
Yep.
If we got a rematch of that right now, could you imagine?
God, I would love to see one more Tyson Kidd match. I really would. I mean, I know
we all would.
We never will, but God, I'd love to see one more because he had just finally gotten everything behind him. Gotten the company behind him and everything else, and then it all fell apart. But that's our Talking Takeover. We're here to talk NXT, but right now we're going to take a minute. And Mike, I wanted you to tell the people about what you do here on Twitch, here on YouTube, all the fun stuff that you're into, and where the people can find you.
Wait. Well, we're cheap plugs. I never do those.
You might not, but we're going to do them now.
Oh, fair enough. Well, twitch.tv/Mike the Ref. In terms of wrestling wise, I do have a AEW Dynamite sidecast that we do every Wednesday night. We talk wrestling. We talk about a whole bunch of things. I think, last couple of weeks we were talking different gifts and different, I think it was different sandwiches that we wanted. We had one episode there. What kind of energy drink would be best instead of Ric Flair's drink? But all bunch of different topics. So, and starting after the pay-per-view coming up this Sunday, we're going to be going twice a week with Dynamite and Collision, both having sidecasts. And as well, on top of that, because I can't never do just one thing, starting the 9th, we're going to be doing WWE 2K24 GM mode as the game releases on the 8th here. So we're going to be running after Dynamite and Collision. We're going to get a couple hours in every week, and let's put it through the paces of the new game, and maybe we'll be able to do a little bit better than what we did last year here. So,
yeah. And of course, for those that are looking forward to it, Mike does even more gaming content than that. That's just wrestling-based stuff. Don't forget, Mike the Ref also plays fantastic things like MLB The Show. He also plays things. He just got finished playing Forbidden Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn. I just finished up. It's starting this Monday. Every Monday night, we're actually going to be playing Legends of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
There you go.
And just a quick plug for this week. Thursday, we're going to be doing Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. We haven't killed Batman yet, so you can still see the good scene later on. But yeah, it's the rest of the week's pretty much in the air because, well, as of 4 hours ago, I'm on holidays this week, so who knows where we're going to end up here. So
Yes, holiday.
But yeah, if you want to check things out, the links are there. Linktree, there's everything listed up there. On our YouTube channel for wrestling, I actually have replays of the sidecast as well as replays of Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk. Their regular weekly shows are there on a week delay, so, they can get all the original hits off their video. This is a nice little second hit from a nice second place. As Astrid's throwing out links out the wazoo here. And on the YouTube gaming channel, we have 2 independent wrestlers and maybe a third one coming up soon. Spoilers. That we are going to be, that we just play different games. Like I know Rick Jules plays Pokemon. PJC plays a lot of MLB The Show. I'm all over the place with mine, so.
Speaking of friends of yours.
Oh, my. You know what? We're doing plugs for a moment. Let's throw another one out here. Heels, Pops, and Chair Shots podcast every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. for the guys on the East Coast. They do a fantastic job talking about wrestling there. Bunch of guys that know all about wrestling and have a lot of experience. If you guys need a link, well, come over to my show tomorrow night. We'll get you links all over the place here. So, but they do an absolutely fantastic job.
I just wanted to go ahead and give you that opportunity to tell people why because normally we do them at the end of the show, but by the end of the show, people are dropping off, people are going to bed. So I want to make sure we got some time to get you out there and tell people who you are and what you do, early enough.
Well, I thought most of the people actually be asleep right now, so they'll be watching this on the replay when they wake up.
They might be doing that too. We got 9 people here currently, so.
Oh, we're just piling everybody in here tonight. So once again, everybody, thank you for coming in here. I know this doesn't get said enough by that guy, but we do appreciate having you here. As Astrid's pro body representative, based on the shirt here, she is very thankful for having you all here, as am I, as this guy. So
I juggle a lot of plates here, and I don't know if to remember to do everything. Speaking of not remembering to do everything, we get Lyra Valkyria heading to the ring. But first, we get Noam Dar and Aura Mensa backstage telling us nothing.
This was amazing, though.
Yes, it was great, but it was a nonsense segment.
The best part is watching Noam Dar get spooked by Kelly Kincaid, who I don't think she could scare anybody. And yet Noam Dar is so on edge, so you could actually tell how worried he is about tonight's matchup, as much as he won't say it.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say, yeah, just an absolute stock promo. You could basically look on WWE 2K24 GM and find exactly that promo right there.
Yeah, self promo talking about how it doesn't matter who it is, he's going to win the match and become the champ, stay the champion,
including if it's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, I love that. And he's the reason why I call him the Candy Crew. Him and Trick Williams, because Trick started doing that, and then it carried over. But we had Lyra coming out. She brings out Tatum Paxley, and she says that she's surprised nobody else is more surprised than she was that Tatum Paxley kept her word and stayed in the back last week with her title matches. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was great.
Because she never expects that to happen.
No, nobody did. She pops out. She's like, bring out Tatum. And they're playing Tatum's music, and they got the camera down the ramp, and Tatum pops out of like the side of the black thing between the ramp and the crowd, that little barrier, and she's hidden underneath there. Just fantastic. She's real creepy. She's real stalker. I love it. It's fantastic. She's so good at it. But Lyra has a real surprise for her, and boy, it's a big one that I didn't even see coming.
I don't think any of us did.
Next week at Roadblock, we are going to get Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria challenging the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, back in NXT for the first time since they've gone back to the main rosters. And it's going to be for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. I mean, wow.
That, like, the matchup here seems like it's going to be absolutely excellent. But I also thought about in the back of my head here, what if it ends up being Bayley and Dakota? Because that match is coming up on Friday. I think it's going to be a DQ or something just to set up closer to the Mania match. But it would be interesting to see the Kabuki Warriors against these two. And maybe this is where we start setting up Paxley losing her crap and having Valkyria versus Paxley at Stand and Deliver, possibly.
Yeah, there's a lot built into this. And for a long time, I was worried that was going to be the match, that it was going to be Tatum versus Lyra. And I'll be honest, I'm still not convinced that's not the match. I think more and more every week that it's Roxanne. But I could see Tatum Paxley involved in that, especially if it's a ladder match. I think she definitely gets herself into that ladder match. I think Lash gets herself in that match. And then I think it's either Kelani or Kiana that gets themselves in that match as well if it's a ladder match.
The one thing I found about this, and a little subtle detail as we were going along, every time that Lyra said you're going to get say that you really wanted, said that you really deserved, you get that little bit of extra tension in there that do you really know what Tatum wants? Is it the tag team or is it the tag team? But I tried to be as polite with my innuendos as possible here, but
he's definitely channeling her best Mickie James, shall we say.
I would say this is a little bit more creepier than Mickie James in this point.
I mean, let's not forget, Mickie James tied Trish up to a chair in the locker room and planted a kiss right on her lips on Monday Night Raw underneath the mistletoe.
But yeah, that was after it was pretty apparent that this was happening.
She kidnapped Trish's boyfriend. I mean, like, Mickie went crazy for a bit in there. Granted, you're right. It was after we realized what was going on. But I'm just saying, I'm like, Mickie did some stuff. So
absolutely. Like, trust me, the WrestleMania match, the point that had to get edited out.
The thing that's not there anymore because it's not appropriate.
Yeah, so we knew exactly what we're getting with that one. This one, we're not sure. And that's the part that that makes me feel that this might end up being the WrestleMania match or the Stand and Deliver match, sorry.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I wonder if that's actually going to turn out to be the exact match or not. All depends on the plans they have for Roxanne actually. So
my thing is, at least they're giving us a variety of women's stuff. Because again, we had 4 earlier. This is 5. This is a 5th women's story on this show.
And it's also options too.
Yep.
Because we don't know exactly where this is. We got an idea where everything's going, but we're not 100% sure.
Yep. They've got room to make a turn here to go left or right or anywhere else. So there's some good stuff going on that I'm excited to see where it all comes out, how it all shakes out. But at least they're involving a great majority of the women's roster at this point. Mm-hmm. Ridge does come out and interrupts this promo.
I absolutely hated this. I hated the
whole segment as a whole afterwards.
Not the whole segment.
Just the Ridge portion.
Not even the full Ridge portion, just this exact moment. That this almost felt like WWE 2010s, where the women's segment almost felt like it didn't matter because you're trying to build up this huge tag team match set up for Roadblock next week. And Ridge is like, yeah, good. You had your segment. Now get the hell out of here. I want to talk.
Yeah. And the worst part is, like, he does his thing, and I was still typing up my notes for the women's portion of this segment that I don't even know or care what he said.
He just says that he was forced to get. It's always his fault that he has to ramp up the intensity in bad situations. That it's always his fault. And then it happened.
He's not a face. It's okay to be a heel. I agree, but it's just WWE has a history of being poor to women and not giving them the time they deserve. And they could have given this segment another 20 seconds to let them finish, cut to the picture of the match, and have Lyra and Tatum run out the corner to the back by where the Eagle's Nest is, get out that way, and then let Ridge come out to a clean ring, as opposed to kind of running them off.
Yeah, you could have had that quick segment with Jensen and Obi in the parking lot. We're going to get to that. We could have threw that there in the middle and just have Ridge come out right after that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Take It here, that the Ridge babyface thing just wasn't working, that he was going heel. It's this specific way that they did it. Because right now in WWE, I'm not getting into politics any further than this, but WWE has earned absolutely zero credit when it comes to dealing with men taking over women's situations. While their booking has been great for the women's segments, but when it comes to interacting men versus women, I'm sorry, they're still not out of the woods on that yet.
I wholeheartedly agree. And then we get Ridge.
No.
Ridge is out there, and Mike, I know you're an AEW fan. I know you love your AEW, but you couldn't leave your AEW stars at home when you came to talk about NXT, could you?
No, I couldn't. And I'm going to let you go through this here first, because.
So we hear a familiar voice. I couldn't place it when I heard it, but we heard it, and the lights go down, and we get this. And I know the picture's a little cut off, but truth will ultimately prevail because there is pain bringing it to light. The lights go out, and then in the darkness, we see a man in a chair. And he blasts Ridge Holland with the chair, and the white light is so perfectly panned on him that we see the reveal. He's not a perfect 10. He's not the chairman anymore.
Are you sure about that?
Spears is here.
I think that this is more, because if I do remember right, this promo, that those words that are up on that screen,
yep,
are similar to some of the earlier promos when Spears was taking on Rhodes in AEW.
Yeah,
it is very similar to the words of why he liked to hit people with chairs, because of the catharsicism he would get, how he would feel so good about it. It almost feels like they are using the chairman gimmick for Spears here in NXT. Just because every time at the beginning, before everything got watered down and Spears just got stuck in the pinnacle and all that other stuff that, let's just not get into that. But at the beginning, every time that he hits somebody with a chair, it was almost an orgasm to him.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels like they're going back to that. And hopefully they can find a way to keep that kind of sick, twisted justification, I think, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
If they could throw that to him, then I think they really have something here with him.
I'm just so excited to see him back again. I was excited when he got signed to AEW. He was one of the very few that I was like, this is the kind of guy that they needed to sign. The kind of guy who WWE kind of sort of pushed him, and they kind of sort of had an idea for him, but they kind of pigeonholed him a bit too much, and he didn't really have anywhere to go.
For me, when it comes to Spears, it's more the fact that he has a certain role that he can play, and he needs certain people to help fill that role. And for me, he's sort of the role of somebody who's going to groom stars, who's going to work with people that are going to become stars. And I don't know if there was enough people in AEW that would fit that role that he could use to work with him successfully. Now that he's got all this talent down there in NXT that he can work with right now, to me, it seems like a perfect fit to have him down there. It was a perfect fit when he was there, and it's a perfect fit again. A 10 out of 10, without a doubt.
Yes,
So I'm so happy to see him out there. I was just a little worried about him later on in the show here, but we'll get to that second segment with him later. But
not ideal later on. I have in my notes Ty Dillinger, but as we found out, it is not Ty Dillinger. They are going to go with the Shawn Spears character, and good for him. This is going to be fun. No, I don't believe so.
I'm almost guessing that a lot of that security might be.
They might have been his students from Flatbacks. That would work. I could see that.
Here, come for a road trip with the teacher, and he gets a segment. You get a segment. So,
speaking of people who are training at Flatbacks, Chris Danger is working out in DPW, doing good. Believe it or not, doing good work. YouTuber turned wrestler, taking the shit seriously, going through it. Had a match with Shawn Spears already. Now he's teaming with Tyler Breeze. He's using that stardom to do some good stuff on the indie scene. And
he also had a great YouTube video today about the MyRise portion of 2K24. So go check out his YouTube channel as well.
Watched it twice. Dank Ops. Fantastic guy. Great person. More invested in this stuff than anybody will ever imagine. And I love the idea that, like he says, his t-shirt, it's not a game anymore. He's taken an idea of what we all do when we all play ourselves in the games. And he's taken that to the literal limit and made it an actual persona in a wrestling business. But he's taking it seriously. He's taking advantage of all the opportunities of knowing Tyler Breeze through Xavier Woods, having that connection to Flatbacks, but going in there and doing the hard work and putting in the time, putting in the effort to go through that training class, to get the opportunities he's getting in DPW. Somebody else who's been recently training at Flatbacks. I know most people didn't notice it from the video, but I know what Flatbacks looks like. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Vernado, was down at Flatbacks training just last week. Well, she posted the video last week. I don't know how long ago she was there training, but she posted the video last week.
Wow. The amount of people you get to work with down at Flatbacks and just the overall level of talent that's there just as a base, not just from the coaching, but the overall students that are in there. Flatback's just a great opportunity for you. And, it's going to be great when Mercedes ends up in Bosstown March 13th, and it's going to be a fun show there.
Yeah.
We're going to have to fix that eventually.
My bigger Boston show is 2 nights later. Cold Fury, Chaotic Wrestling. We got JT Dunn in the house, man. That guy's on a roll right now.
Yep.
He's wrestling Mustafa Ali in a couple of weeks in Connecticut. He's got a match against who else is it? It's not just Mustafa Ali. He got another one against a TNA guy coming up recently too. He's on a roll right now. Really excited for Shawn Spears to be back. I want to see where they go with this because I think he's uniquely built to have a very viable role as a coach and a talent in NXT. And if you can incorporate Flatbacks into the Performance Center and have a connection there to give them another form with guys that WWE trusts. They trust Spears. They trust Breeze. To go ahead and give these talent in the PC another look at what wrestling looks like from a different angle. There's nothing but upside with this guy.
Absolutely.
But we do move on, and as you said, Obafemi's coming outside to get a bit of fresh air, and his night's over. He's not got a match tonight. He came and talked to Ava like he was supposed to about who's next. Up comes Jensen talking about, Briggs told me to get a pair of balls, so I'm going to go ahead and I want to face you for the North American Championship. Oba just looks him up and down and goes, are you sure about that?
We need to see a bloodbath here once again. He got one last week. You might as well get one this week. What the hell?
No, I'll take it. Why? You know what? Obafemi said it the other week, and I know we saw Lexis King again tonight, and he's not holding up to his word there, and I'm gonna definitely have a tweet with him about that. He said, "Don't send him anybody you want back." Well, I didn't want Lexis King back, and he's still back, but they sent him to Oba, and that was nice. Now they're sending Brooks Jensen. It's like Obafemi's listening to my wish list of talent I don't want to see no more, and he's putting them all out to pasture in the North American title picture.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Noel Take It is actually Obafemi's manager, because that's basically what Obafemi's doing, is taking no L's, and Jensen's going to be taking all the L's here for a little while. I gotta feel that he's going to be losing. Something's going to snap at him eventually here, but I don't see anywhere where this gimmick gets rectified here anytime soon.
But it's a match I'm down to see. I mean,
it'll be fun.
It's a nice, easy win for Obafemi, but it'll be a good match. It'll be entertaining enough on television. Oba will throw him around. He's a big guy. Like, I get it. Let's see what you did there.
I got you.
Moving on, we got Von Wagner, the Barry Monkey special. We haven't heard from him tonight. I don't know if he's here, but the Barry Monkey special. Von Wagner takes on Lexis King. I'll be honest, I went and used the restroom.
I went to as soon as they announced that this was coming up, I went to the restroom. So I did come back. I haven't had a chance to see Von Wagner since he's changed the gimmick. I'll be honest, I've been up and down when it comes to my NXT viewing. Mm-hmm. To me, what Von looks like right now is if you took a thing to deflate a needle. Sorry, my words are great here. Take a needle, put it into Kali's body, and deflate him a little bit, and that's what Von Wagner looks like right now.
I was going to say he's a slightly more charismatic version of Omos. Slightly.
Don't know here. Either way, it just this match here, there wasn't a whole lot to it. Was a pretty basic match, I would say. Big man versus small man. Go take out the legs a little bit. You get Stone with the distraction. First he gets hit due to a misstep, a shove by King into Vaughn into Stone. Mm-hmm. Nothing really comes of it until near the end when you got King trying to set up Wagner into the coronation. Stone comes up, distracts King just enough to get the silly roll-up victory for Wagner, who continues to get beaten down by the leg, and then Stone comes in trying to help out his client, his friend, whichever way you want to go with it. And he ends up eating a coronation, which I don't know. Has Stone wrestled? He's wrestled that one match, right?
He's had like 2 matches. He wrestled Braun Breaker at one point. He wrestled, I think he wrestled another match at one point as well.
Did he look this feeble after he took after he taken the coronation? He looked like Bart Simpson after he ended up stuck in that garbage can getting rolled downhill.
It's a shame considering the fact that he's a former Impact Tag Team Champion, former X Division Champion. He's done a lot of good work. Noel says 2 or 3 matches. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
It is what it was. You basically said everything there is to say about this. It is what it is. It told the story. It continued the story.
Yeah.
But nothing new under the sun for this one.
Nothing real progressed here either. Like, what are we going to do? Get another Wagner versus King match?
I think we might get Stone versus King at this point. Or a handicap match. I don't know. None of it. There are no good options for what we're going to get out of this, unfortunately. Speaking of good options, we get a video package chronicling the Kabuki Warriors in their time in NXT, which is really good. I like this. There's a lot of material to pull from with this, with Kyrie winning the Mae Young Classic, winning the NXT Championship from Shayna Baszler, with Asuka being the longest reigning women's champion for a long time in NXT. I think she still might have the longest reign in NXT history. No,
that was Mandy.
Mandy did that. Yeah, Mandy eclipsed the Asuka record.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Asuka's just fantastic. And then you have, Tatum and Lyra talking positively about how they want this match. And Jaida comes in and she's like, why are you taking on these two guys? Why are you starting this fight? She's like, well, I wanted the time championship.
It wasn't Jaida that asked that.
No,
It was the star of the episode.
Okay. I know that Jada's part of it. And I forgot if it was Jaida who
Jaida was sitting on the side there. She was piping it a little bit here about it, but the big talking point on this segment was Ariana Grace.
Because of course, as soon as she's on the screen.
And forgot Mandy.
I've been talking too much about Tiffany.
New girl, the mother. Who's the new girl? Never mind. We'll get it.
We're not getting demonetized.
When you finally get your Girls That Chase You calendar, you'll be able to decide what your next focus will be on. So we'll just leave it at that there.
I mean, I've still got Nikita when she comes back from injury, but moving on.
Anyway,
Ariana Grace. She's like, why would you want to face them? And she's like, well, I want a championship. Why is it always fighting? Why is it always fighting? And they're like, because that's what we do. Like, we fight.
it's wrestling.
Exactly. We settle things in the ring. And like, the funny thing is unlike Roxanne, they're not fighting amongst each other backstage. They're like, we're setting up a wrestling match to fight in the ring where it's supposed to happen. And I really hope they don't go down this, route with Ariana where she's going to be this no fighting pacifist character, because she's been so good for so long.
But the problem, you're going to see in a couple minutes here, we're going to talk about it here. I'm really concerned that they are going to be doing this. This almost seems like a Mick Foley anti-violence campaign.
Yeah. I know what we saw, and I'm hoping that was a one-night thing and that they're going to realize it's a bad idea and stop it before it goes any further. But I do love Jada's response to Ariana Grace. I'd rather have a championship than a dumb crown.
And Ariana almost looked like she was about to cry.
She's so good. Her father has trained her so incredibly well on character work. She was as much as I don't like what's going on, I can't not help but love her while she's doing it.
Yeah,
and she's going to give it her all, regardless if it's a good idea or a bad idea. We saw tonight, she's not going to half-ass it. She's going to go for it and go all in.
Like, in terms of the character work, I think she's one of the top, if not the top lady in the division right now. Mm-hmm. Outside of maybe your top 2 or 3 in terms of personalities. It all depends on if she can develop the ring work, which she does have a good base on her in terms of what she does in the ring.
Yep.
It just, can she take that to the next level to meet her personality?
She's serviceable right now, which is more than most can say. She's at main roster character work, like Noel says. She's really good at her character. Absolutely. She knows who she is, what she needs to do, and how to get that over with the audience. And her in-ring work is, like I said, serviceable. It's not great. It's not terrible. She's good. She can have a match and nobody's going to complain.
The key to her having a long-term career is being able to step it up and get that in-ring performance where it needs to be for that.
And so far, I imagine, based on the past that we've had with the talent we've had coming through here, that's going to be something that she's going to be able to pick up. If Tiffany Stratton is any indication, if Kiana James is any indication, hell, if Lash Legend and Fallon Henley are any indication, Lash is incredibly slowly getting better and better in the ring. Fallon Henley is light years ahead of where she was a year ago. Kiana James is light years ahead of where she was a year ago.
The key thing about Fallon Henley is she's had those years of experience on the road, so she's been able to pick things up a little bit easier than the rest. But I agree that if you could get those ladies to get to that next level. It's all good to have a base. It's who's going to step up and take that risk to get it to that next level. And I agree with you, Noel, taking that you get her in with some better people. Sorry to interrupt there, Ed.
No, you're good,
but I think when you get Ariana, she's going to have to be able to be comfortable in the position that she's in, because you're not going to be able to face those top talents every single week. And right now, starting to hint at something maybe with Tatum and Lyra. I don't think you're going to see that happen anytime soon in a serious context, but she's going to have to be able to earn her way up to that spot. I don't think she's going to get that runaway here.
No, even Santino says he wants her down there for at least another year to develop and keep developing everything she's already got. She'd get better and better and better over the next year before he wants to see her on the main roster.
Yeah, and I definitely think that Sean and Hunter are going to be able to do that. If it was Vince, she would probably be up already with a comedy gimmick.
Yep. Gigi comes to the ring, but first we go backstage to Joe Gacy spying on Dijak as him and Ava are in a heated argument.
That was great.
What the hell's going on? And then Gacy comes walking up. He's like, "I'm not done here," and he starts attacking Dijak while he's still holding the camera.
Yeah, he had the camera and he just dropped it as soon as he said those words. They just started beating up as they're on the ground.
Chef's kiss. Like, Joe Gacy is doing incredible. Him and Dijak are doing amazing work together.
It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do next week in the TNA match.
Yes, as we are going to be getting an Asylum match at Roadblock next week. So we'll definitely talk more about that.
I'd still want to say patent pending on that, but
we get Jaida defeating Gigi Dolin in this match. And what was your, I don't know if you saw her much lately, but your thoughts on Jaida Parker here?
I also think Jaida did a not bad job here with somebody like Gigi with a very strong bit. Like, Gigi's had years around, and she's so comfortable in the ring so that she could pretty much work with anybody. And I do think Jaida did a good job. I'm not going to say great. There were a few spots there that looked a little weird, sort of like what I was saying with Kelani earlier, but not to the same degree. It almost felt like things started falling apart when Ariana showed up.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the point that they were getting in trouble. It's just, I don't know if Ariana was directed properly on how to interfere in this match to make it worthwhile. Because it almost feels like they were trying to incorporate her when she wasn't, that she shouldn't have. And then by the time they got everything figured out, you end up getting Jaida getting the win off the distraction, which, funny, we had that in the first match, I do believe, tonight as well. I believe if you listen to OSW review, that the phrase we use here is "damn it, D'Lo." And I honestly feel with Gigi, she's in a position now where they very well could be sending her up to the main roster. I do feel that Toxic Attraction might be get put back together up on the main roster. What else is there for JC Jane to do down here after she finishes off her feud with Thea? I don't know if there's that much left in the tank for storyline wise. And then you have Gigi, who, granted, hasn't been around for a while. She's been maybe here once every 3 or 4 weeks, but
yeah, she pops in and out, has a match, but no real storyline.
And they don't know what to do with her because her promos aren't exactly over the top exciting. That's why her and JC work so well together. It's because JC can talk people into a room and Gigi can entertain them when she gets in the ring because she is that talented. But
the three of them were perfectly created to work amongst each other. With Mandy, with JC, with Gigi, it was the perfect combination of skills because they all picked up for each other. Whereas Mandy was slightly less good in the ring, Gigi and JC could pick up from that. But Mandy could talk on the microphone and get people intrigued and do the whole toxic thing. And JC was a middle ground for that, while Gigi was a little less into that gimmick, but she fit the part with the two of them very well. Breaking up the tag team of Toxic Attraction was a big mistake.
We've talked about that on numerous channels. I know you have. I know I have.
Yeah.
I know in our 2K23 GM playthrough, we said the same thing. That leaving those two apart was absolutely the worst thing to happen to both of them. And really, because until JC took some time, got through a few feuds, and now got into this Chase U thing, is the first time where she's actually started to hit her stride a little bit here.
Yeah. And as Noel says, neither one of these women are anywhere close to the title picture. So yeah, putting them back together might not be a bad idea to bring them up to the main roster.
And you have them take on the Kabuki Warriors? Yes, please.
Yeah.
That would be a more of a match I would want to see than Paxley and Lycaria, which I still think is going to be an absolute blow-up match. Like, I think this is where Paxley's going to lose it, but
imagine if you will, 6 months into the future, you reform Toxic Attraction and you have babyface champions, say, because nobody will shut up about her, Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez. If Rodriguez. If Raquel Rodriguez.
It's all right. Triple H made the same mistake, so don't feel bad.
I know. At least I'm in good company. But if you get Raquel and Liv back together again and win the titles at Mania, which I think might happen, I think they're going to do a four women's tag team match, and you put the titles on the baby faces there. Imagine Toxic Attraction taking on like a Liv Morgan and a Raquel. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Because honestly, I'd love to see that happen, and then I'd love to see the NXT return match of Isla and Alba to take on Toxic Attraction. You tell me you don't run that for a best of 7, and you wouldn't be excited?
If I got to see the Unholy Alliance on my TV screen, I'd be very excited.
Amen, brother.
We then finally get our main event match of the evening as the No Quarter Catch crew come to the ring, and we find out it's going to be Charlie Dempsey, the Brit himself, Charlie Dempsey, taking on Noam Dar. And this was good. This was the best match on the card by far and away.
Oh, yeah.
And as it should have been, two guys who could just wrestle, with the best of them. In the first round, Charlie Dempsey gets this really awkward, interesting pinning combination to go ahead and pin Noam Dar. And he rolls off towards Oro Mensa to pull the referee's attention. And Damon Kemp comes in and lands a nice little backside blow.
It was a forearm shiver right to the back of the head.
Just fantastic work by Damon Kemp. The story of this match is medicine doesn't taste very good, does it, Metaphor?
Yeah, well, here's the explanation for that medicine, though, that a lot of people, if you haven't noticed there, they didn't have all 4 Metaphor there because both, Lash got kicked out and Jakara just had her match, right?
Yep.
And so she's busy with dealing with that. So they didn't come out. It was just the two guys coming out for Metaphor here. So they were outnumbered 4-2.
Yeah, and they perfectly told story there with that. The match continues, and by the way, 3 rounds of fantastic wrestling after that first round. Really good stuff. Only 1 round in picture-in-picture, thank God.
Yeah.
But after that, in the 4th round, really early in this 4th round, Noam Dar hits a Nova Roller, just runs right through Charlie Dempsey, this Nova Roller, and gets the pin to even it up at 1 fall apiece. And I'm like, all right, this is expected. They had a lot of time left. I expected it would go like this. And I wasn't sure which way they'd go. I was hoping that they'd go one way, but I was anticipating that they wouldn't.
There was a lot of distress in Dempsey's face at that point, and Dar had a real look of anticipation like, yeah, I've been here before. I got this tied up. I got him injured. We're going to end this here. But once again, the numbers game seems to fool Noam here.
Yeah, we get multiple distractions from Myles distracting the referee, but nothing happening out of it, to Damon Kemp trying to come up on the apron and try to get in Noam's face, to Noam knocking him down, which allows Drew Gulak to help get Charlie Dempsey up. And then Noam Dar goes, running into the turnbuckle to try to get Dempsey, but Gulak pushes him out of the way and takes the shot himself. And then then Dempsey hits an absolutely perfect dragon suplex for the 1, 2, 3, and new Heritage Cup champion Charlie Dempsey and the Candy Crew, because Vic Joseph very questionably asks, he's the new champion or are they? He doesn't know if, and I love the idea of freebirding this championship through the entire thing, where every match is contested under catch rules.
I would love to see this become a sort of a faction championship, where you almost get it almost turns into, I hate to say this, but what's the card version of WWE 2K24?
Supercard.
There we go, Supercard. It almost becomes a Supercard mode where you do have to pick a card from your team and a card from the other team. You guys actually have a match, and that's who ends up winning overall.
Yeah.
It's some way to finish the story when it comes to into a Heritage Cup scenario here. So let's throw everything into finish your story here this time, since that phrase is being overtaken way too many times here.
But yeah, so we've got a new Heritage Cup champion. We've got the Candy Crew finally with some legitimacy going on, and you finally have Lash Legend. You finally have Jakara come out now that he's lost, and you hear them in the background, and you kind of see them for a split second. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here. But I'm very excited.
Oh, you know that Noam next week is going to be livid because he got attacked by multiple people in that match, and he's going to try to get thrown out. Yep. And who knows? Maybe they even get a dusty reversal out of this in the back, because that is British wrestling, right?
If the referee had disqualified him, it would have been over. However, since the referee didn't see it, according to Noam Dar's rules, it's all fair in love and war.
Fair enough, but I've heard of weirder things, right?
I agree. And then we get what you said, the worrying part that you thought. Sean Spears comes out and says that Ridge has been lying to himself, and that the truth will come out, and the truth will be painful.
So is Sean Spears... First of all, the reason why I said this is the worrisome part for me is we had two people entering the NXT parking lot. Like, let's face it, that's the most dangerous area in NXT right now.
All of professional wrestling.
Well, in all professional wrestling. All right, fair enough. I'm not going to go there. When it comes to Sean Spears and he says the truth hurts, does that mean we're going to get R-Truth show up?
I'd be down for it. I mean, I think we need to finish the R-Truth Judgment Day stuff before we start getting R-Truth down here dealing with Sean Spears. But I could see it in the future after we get done with whatever R-Truth's doing at Judgment Day. I'd be down for that. It could be fun.
Yeah, fair enough. And then from there, you just had Roxanne Perez just blow right by, say, nope, not going to talk. Nope.
Yep. She just left. She walked out. 2 people. This is actually 4 people that we've seen in the NXT parking lot tonight, and nobody was injured. NXT has upped the security in the parking lot. Good job.
Or somebody just had a weird night because it was World Pokemon Days, so they were too busy playing Pokemon.
Maybe.
We
get 2 announced matches for next week. We know of 2 more that are going to be happening now, but Chase U versus the Wolf Dogs for the NXT Tag Team Championships.
That'll be a banger.
And the Kabuki Warriors will take on Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley for the Women's Tag Team Championships.
That'll be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. We also know that we're getting for next week. We're also getting Dijak versus Joe Gacy
in an asylum match,
which will be a whole bunch of fun. And then our main event, which we assumed was going to be Carmelo Hayes versus Ilja Dragunov. But not yet. Because as Melo and Ilja trade barbs back and forth to start this contract signing, Tony D'Angelo comes out.
If you heard earlier in the show when Ed was talking about the promo after the Dijak match, Tony said specifically he has bigger stuff to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And last week on NXT, you had Tony D sit with the family, and he said specifically, we need to remind everybody that I am the Dawn of NXT. What better way to do that than to become the NXT champion?
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I just thought it was going to take a little bit more time.
Oh, why piss around?
Next week.
We got two guys in this contract signing who are probably going to be in the main roster 2 months from now.
Yep.
And you're going to need somebody down there to take that championship. I don't know whether Tony's going to do it now, but we have our own personally, I feel that Tony is going to win what's coming up here. Sorry, I jumped the gun here a little bit.
It's fine.
Go ahead and describe what happened here in terms of what we got set up, because I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with it, but I do think it's heading in the right direction regardless.
So Tony goes ahead and takes Ava's seat in the middle of the table. And Ava willingly gives it up and lets Tony sit down, which makes me know that she was involved in this. And he starts going back and forth with Carmelo or with Ilja.
You missed one very important point before that. The security guys on the outside, Melo was trying to say that he
Well, it doesn't happen until after he sits down.
No, he was up at this point still.
Okay.
Because he was standing up and Melo's sitting there and saying, if you say one more word, I'm going to send these guys after you. And immediately D'Angelo turns around and says, you think you have the power, you think you have the clout, you don't have the Dawn's power. Snaps his fingers and they all jet. And the look of Melo's face, because the camera shot to Melo at that point, and Melo just looked like, holy crap. You could almost see the wheels turning that he is no longer in control of this segment whatsoever. And that's when you turn back and D'Angelo's sitting there.
Yeah.
And that's when this all starts.
And he talks to Melo and he's like, you know what? You've had a year to deal with this. You've been back and forth. Your time is up. You're done. You're done dealing with all this. It's time for somebody else's turn. And he turns to Ilja and he goes, I'm going to talk harshly to you. Some people might feel uncomfortable about this, but I know you can handle it. Melo, put your hood up.
Cover your ears, I think he's...
Oh, was it cover your ears? It was something like that. I know it was... He didn't want Melo to listen because he knows Melo couldn't handle it, which is just fantastic. And Tony says he wants to earn his stand and deliver world championship match. And Ilya's like, well, that's fine by me. I'm all for people earning things. He's like, I know Melo's never earned anything in his life. And I'm sitting there like, oh, hold on. Melo's earned a lot here. Remember, he was the breakout tournament winner in the first men's breakout tournament. He did win that. He earned his way to stand and deliver a year ago to go ahead and take on Braun Breaker. These are things he did earn.
No, I think he said he had earned anything in 8 months.
Oh, okay. That might be true.
That is legit.
That.
There is a couple other points in here that really shocked me as we were going here. Yep. Just want to back it up just a little bit to where D'Angelo was talking to Carmelo, and D'Angelo's bringing up his point about how he needs to recognize that he is the guy. And Melo decides to try to interrupt D'Angelo. And he said, no, I'm talking right now. You've had 8 months to talk about this. I'm talking about this now. You need to show me the respect. The whole crowd, and just like Astrid said, the crowd's reaction was a big part of this. The whole crowd was like, oh, to that. And Melo's just got that face of, really? And Ava's like, yeah, you got to show him respect. And Melo's just got this look of, he doesn't know what to do. He's confused at this because he's always been in the power situation in these confrontations, and now he has to sit in the back seat of all this. And we're going to see later where the back seat's going to turn into a little bit of desperation here. But when he turns to Ilja, it turns into more of a gentleman's discussion rather than it's almost like the adults are talking at the table so the kids can stay quiet right now. It was absolutely – there were so many pieces here that were fitting perfectly in here. But I know you want to get to the end of this because I know you love the end of this.
I do.
So, sorry, I get on a roll, but you got to take it here.
It's what you're here for. You're here to bring insight and reaction, and that's what we love. Tony turns back to Ilja, and he goes, look, I have a proposition for you. Me versus Melo. Next week, the winner gets to go to Stand and Deliver to face you for the NXT Championship. What do you say, champ? And he puts it in Ilja's corner. He doesn't look at Melo. He doesn't care what Melo has to say. And Ilja takes a second.
Actually, he said that Ava agreed to this as long as the champ agrees to it.
Yep.
So, which I got a bit of a bone of contention for this, but that's okay. Keep going. Finish off here and I'll get to all of it.
All right. So then Ilja says, you know what? I like this idea because Melo hasn't earned anything in 8 months. So yeah, I accept. That's fine with me, and we'll see where the pieces fall as they may for Stand and Deliver. And Melo's like, no, this isn't how it goes. This isn't how it works. Ava, come on, this isn't how it works. She goes, you know what? If the champ agrees, I like this arrangement. And Melo's now he knows. Like if he had any lingering grasp of the power, he knows it's all gone now. And he's stuttering and he's not quite sure what's going on. And he gets up on his feet, try to gain some more of the power back. And he starts yelling at Tony D'Angelo. And Tony gets up and Tony's like, you don't go yell at me, little boy. And he gets up. Melo signs the contract. Tony signs the contract. Melo tries to dig Tony in. And as Tony rears back, he goes ahead and knocks down Ilja Dragunov, who had gotten up. And then Melo put Tony through the table. Just, it was great.
I got to back you up here, and this is where I'm going to get this bone of contention here. Mm-hmm. The contract was already signed by Ilja and Tony D with that Ava had in her hand already.
Okay.
And this is where I'm confused here because the agreed to match was X. And now they're trying to make up a new match of Y, but they already had the contract made up for Y already.
So Ava had said it at one point here, and I forgot to mention this, that she had 2 contracts drawn up based on Ilja's decisions.
So both contracts were still in there, right?
Yes.
So what had happened here is the whole confrontation, Melo gets up on the mic. You could see that look on Melo's face at the end before he stands up, saying, all right, I got to change gears here because I'm not in control of this situation. I need to find a way to get myself back into control. And then he starts antagonizing Tony to the point where he's got to come around and start giving him grief. Then he gives him a shove back. Ilja instinctively just puts his hand up to protect himself from the shove. And Tony gives him a back elbow to knock him over. And then that just gives Melo enough time to swing him around, give him a high backdrop driver into that table. Then he grabs the contract from Ava and signs off on it. Now, if I was Melo, am I signing the contract with D'Angelo or am I signing the contract with Ilja? Because both are still are still valid if nothing was ripped up here. I know this is a very picky part. I know that they're going to be going with the Tony versus Melo match regardless here, but at the same time, it makes sense that if both contracts are in there, why would Melo sign one to fight D'Angelo when he could just have his with Ilja?
Maybe he did. maybe there's a way to get out of this for all of this with that. Maybe this is a 4-way, come stand and deliver. Because we talked about it, is how does this play out going forward for stand and deliver? Well, logic says that Tony D'Angelo wins the match, Tony takes on Ilja for the championship, and Trick Williams takes on Melo at stand and deliver. Those 2 matches seem set in stone. But are they good? Which order are they going to be? Which match has the championship? There's a lot to play around with when it comes to all of that. So, or does it just become a 4-way? Do you just combine all of it together where Melo says, I didn't sign the match to make Tony the number 1 contender. So say he loses next week. He goes, but I didn't sign a match to fight Tony D'Angelo. I signed a contract to fight Ilja Dragunov for the championship.
It's very interesting to see if they try to go that in depth and try to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
Because this could be another one of those nerds sitting at a room trying to setting a squabble arguments here that they just plain old ignore and move on from, right?
Yeah, entirely.
But I personally feel that the way that everybody's fearing it's going to go is the way it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Because as we've talked before, a lot of the NXT booking is very simple and very straightforward. And to me, it just makes a lot of sense to go that way. I do think that Melo versus Trick should be the main event, because having a match like D'Angelo and Ilja try to follow up with that just doesn't feel like it's going to do it. Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's going to have the reaction. It feels like it's going to be Triple H Jericho after Rock Hogan, in my opinion.
Randy Orton versus Triple H following Undertaker versus HBK 25.
Yeah, I guess we got to talk about generations here, because got to talk to the younger generations, because they know about that younger stuff. So,
but here's how I would do it. I would, because the obvious thing to do here is kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Have Trick interfere. Trick costs Melo. Tony wins the match. Tony gets his match with Ilja. You open, stand, and deliver with the World Championship match. Because if they don't go on last, they need to go on in a primary spot. The first spot is the next best spot for them. So I say, you put Ilja and Tony in the first spot. Let them have that prime time real estate of opening the show. I think the 2 of them can deliver a banger that will set off a huge start to the show. And then you end with the match that has all the heat. It has all the feelings. It has all the drive behind it. And you main event with Trick versus Melo.
And I think people would understand if you put, like, say, either Lyra versus Roxanne or a Lyra versus Tatum as your semi-main in that point.
Yeah.
Or even if you do the tag match as a semi-main. I'd put the tag in the middle just so there's a little bit of breather in there, but that's a little bit of crazy booking you guys could talk about later on, but in terms of match order here. But I think this is Ciampa Gargano levels of main event heat here.
Yep.
And it should main event. There's no match that's going to follow this that's going to make things any better.
Nope.
Unless you have like 4 different sightings show up immediately following the match.
Unless Okada shows up next week at Roadblock. And it doesn't sound like it's going to be the case. It sounds like he's at an AEW. But unless you had Okada and Julia show up next week, Melo should be the main event. Mike, what did you think of NXT tonight as a whole?
Like I said, it's a great go-home show. You got your matches that you're setting up for next week. Everybody's got to remember it is a 2-hour PLE, basically. It's not one of these 3.5, 4 hour shows that going on. So we pretty much have our card that we're going to have. We got 2 tag team title matches. We got a number 1 contenders match for the NXT championship. We got a TNA Asylum match. Do we have another match scheduled yet or no? Besides those 4? I don't think so at this point.
Not yet.
I think they might put another match in there just to.
Yeah, we'll have a match or 2 that they add throughout the week, but nothing drastic. I think we'll probably get with like the tag match. We might get the 4 tag teams.
Yeah,
or something
Quite
like
possibly get something like that. But I feel that the job of this show tonight was to get us to Roadblock, and I think they're doing a good job of it.
Yeah. All right, Mike, go ahead and talk about AEW this weekend, what you've got coming up for AEW Revolution, and what you got going on the rest of this week.
Well, to be perfectly honest, for Revolution, I'm not 100% sure yet. Normally, we do have a sponsor that we host watch parties with, but I haven't. The communication between us and them has been a little slow. I just got on holiday, so I actually have time to talk to him now. So if by some chance we are not hosting a watch party, I will be doing a sidecast of AEW Revolution on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Mike the Ref. As well, we are going to be watching the last Dynamite of Sting's career, which is tomorrow night. Just got over my notes here for tomorrow over the old X machine. I know some people want to call it XITTER, but I'm not spelling that out for you or saying that out for you. But we just got an announcement that Chris Statlander is going to be taking on Sky Blue on that card. So that's actually going to be a very good match to check out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a sidecast of AEW Dynamite there. Thursday, we're going to be playing Suicide Squad. We are going to get the opportunity to kill John Cena in many different ways this week.
Yes.
And we will be doing that. Mortal Kombat 1, Peacemaker has just dropped yesterday as a playable character. So, we're going to have to beat up John Cena. That's just, with the Good Brothers coming to NXT, that just makes so much sense.
It does make sense.
And then also new characters drop for Street Fighter. And I could get into a ton of game stuff, but follow me over twitch.tv/Mike the Ref. Other than that, everything's out in the link tree. You can follow my socials. Astrid, I hope you're doing well in LA, and I can't wait to see what your reactions are to Roadblock next week. And Ed, thank you very much for having me here. And
absolutely.
Once again, don't forget, make sure you pick this up as soon as you can.
Absolutely.
It's a very well thought out, well designed, well produced, well photographed, very tasteful. Is that the way the kids say it these days? Make sure you get your calendar here.
And of course, you can follow me at Twitter at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002, where I simulcast all of my wonderful stuff right here from our local establishment. Tomorrow night, you can catch me and our good friend Andre C. as we talk all things Thor. Thor 1, the 2011 Thor movie. The MCU rebound comes back again as we talk all things Thor, coming up this Wednesday, tomorrow, the day after this happens live. We're going to be we're going to be going live around 10 o'clock right after AEW Dynamite. We're going to go live to go ahead and talk about some Marvel stuff. Mike, I want to thank you for joining me. It was a great time. I finally got to work with you one-on-one. It's been something we've been trying to put together for a while. So
yeah, just things never line up properly ever for either one of us here. Yeah. But just shout out to Astrid once again. Just throw that out there.
And for all of Astrid's stuff, you can go ahead and use her WWE Shop affiliate link right here. You can go ahead and scan the QR code. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and you can get all of the good things that you want at WWEshop.com. Remember this as you get ready for WrestleMania, as you get ready to build that build, you can go ahead and get the stuff you want, get it for the same price, but get a little bit of kickback to Ash for all the great work she does. If you want the shirt that Mike the Ref is wearing, and he's even modeling it in this picture, or the lovely Melba is modeling it, you can get it in either color. Go ahead and scan this QR code to get that shirt. And if you want to know what it looks like, again, Mike the Ref right there is wearing it. It's a fantastic shirt. But for myself, for Mike the Ref, for all of us at our local establishment, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.